Hello and welcome to the final installment of the 2019 Fire and Steel Thanksgiving Special. Where using all the ingredients you see on your screen right now, I'll show you how to make a quick, easy, and delicious dessert of chocolate pie. If you'd like a full copy of this recipe with accurate measurements, please see the description below for a link to the Fire and Steel website. So the first part of this recipe is we're going to scald off 2.5 cups of whole milk, and please make sure it's whole milk, not skim or 2%. We are going to scald this milk, and what that means is we're going to place it over medium heat until it comes to a slight boil. So with the milk on the stove, we'll go ahead and turn our attentions to our dry ingredients. You'll notice much of this recipe is kind of getting everything ready. That's because once the milk is hot, you have to move very quickly. So here, this is AP flour, measured out of the bowl. Next up, we have cocoa powder. After that, we have some granulated sugar. And this is one of the two secret ingredients to this recipe. It is instant coffee. The coffee adds kind of a bitter mocha flavor that pairs really well with all the other flavors of the dish. And just one small pinch of salt, about 3 fingers worth. In here, I didn't jump cut this, I sped it up instead to show just how much stirring I actually did. It's really important to make sure all the dry ingredients are very well incorporated, or you run a very high risk of getting lumps in the final product. Here I'm just separating out 2 eggs. You can toss out the whites, you can save them if you want to save them, but we're only interested in the yolks. And to round out the rest of our ingredients, here we have some vanilla extract. Next up, we have some Kahlua, and like any good chef cooking with alcohol, this is the one ingredient I did not measure. It's about 2 tablespoons. And finally, 2 tablespoons of butter, and this is cold butter, not room temperature butter. That actually is important. Here you can see the milk is just starting to simmer. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting close. So I'm going to go ahead and set out my pie shells. I am using a graham cracker crust. I recommend you use that as well. And I'm doing the individuals rather than a large pie, but you could do a large pie if you like. And I'm just kind of staring at the pot right now because when milk scalds and it foams, it goes very quickly, and this pot will overflow real fast if you walk away from it. So when you get to almost there, just kind of be patient and just watch it. And there you can see it starting to foam and fill the pot. Once the scalded milk almost reaches the top of the pot, we'll go ahead and kill the heat, dump it in the bowl, and start mixing everything through. I do recommend you use a mixing bowl that has a rubber bottom so that you can stir it with one hand. If you don't have one with a rubber bottom, you can put a towel underneath to help give you some traction. In here, just keep stirring for about 10 to 15 seconds solid. This will help prevent getting lumps of flour in the final dish. And you can see here, as you keep stirring, the heat from the milk activates the flour and it thickens up and gelatinizes really nicely. So when our mix nice and smooth, we'll go ahead and add in our butter, vanilla extract, and Kahlua. It's important to do this while the mix is hot. You want the heat to evaporate the alcohol out of the Kahlua, removing some of that bite, and also melt the butter. But you do want to use cold butter because you want to simultaneously cool this mix down. The cold butter will help with that. And you also want to make sure you don't stop whisking because you want the butter to incorporate, not turn into a grease slick on the top. The final step to this recipe is to temper in the egg yolks, and what that means is to slowly raise the temperature of the egg yolks before dumping them into the main bowl. How we're going to do that is by adding a small amount of the hot mixture and just whisking it into the eggs. You can do this just by dipping the whisk into the hot mix, adding it to the eggs, stirring it around, repeat. You want to do this until the bowl with the eggs is noticeably warm to the touch, not necessarily hot though. Once it's warm, go ahead and dump it into the main bowl and get it all mixed through. Finished, we're going to go ahead and portion this out. Again, I use the individual pies. I prefer individuals for this recipe because the final product is very good and it does solidify and hold up well. It is a little bit difficult to cut into nice clean slices. So by presenting it in the individual form, you don't have that problem. And again, I did mention I use a graham cracker crust and I recommend that. That's because graham cracker is a little bit sweeter than a traditional pie crust, and this filling actually isn't that sweet. Between all the chocolate and the coffee, there is a good amount of bitterness in there, and that counteracts. And here you can see, this is another method that you can serve this, is just in a bowl. It firms up and turns into a kind of chocolate custard, which is actually really nice as well. So with everything portioned out, we're going to go ahead and park this in the fridge. You want to do it for at least 4 hours, if not overnight. I didn't wrap them here because I didn't do it overnight, but if you are doing it overnight, I do recommend covering it in plastic so they don't pick up any weird flavors in the fridge. And here we have our finished product. You can see it firms up really nicely, but it is still super soft. You can see here the spoon doesn't push through, it doesn't stick to the spoon, but when you actually go in there and take a bite of it, it's like thicker than pudding, but not quite as thick as creme brulee. It's a really nice texture and a really, really good flavor. So that is it. As always, I thank you for watching. Please like, favorite, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.